Another gorgeous day here in the New York metropolitan area. Boy, it sure feels like summer, but the calendar says it's still May 7th, so a lot of time left to go until summer, but we've had some great weather here. Eric Donovan, joined by Richard Migliore for this edition of Belmont Insider. Richie, the weather just doesn't get any better than this.
It's perfect weather. We get bright sunshine. I love this time of day. The light kind of gets a little softer. All the races are in a book, and we're going to recap all the great action today and talk about tomorrow as well.
Some big stakes on the card for tomorrow. 4 graded stakes, in fact, headlined by the Man of War. We'll also see the Peter Pan earlier in the card. Some 3-year-olds perhaps making their way to the Belmont Stakes.
It's always been a race that has kind of pointed out the new shooter, a horse that didn't make the Derby, whether it was points or maybe just was a little bit behind physically. But we've had a lot of horses come out of the Peter Pan to go on and do well in the Belmont Stakes.
Well, we'll talk Triple Crown in just a minute when we turn our attention to the Preakness. But first, a little bit of a recap of yesterday with Takeover Target, who won the 8th race here for trainer Chad Brown yesterday. Looking very impressive coming home through the lane. They got some big plans ahead.
Yeah, and I think rightfully so. Eric, he really just was super impressive in his debut as a 2-year-old. Came back off the layoff. He's got a brilliant turn of foot, and I really think the Pennine Ridge will point out whether he actually belongs in the Belmont Derby, although my feeling is that he does belong. I think it's a very, very good colt.
A very good colt, to obviously 2 for 2 and undefeated for Chad Brown. He's got a lot of good horses. He's got a lot of stakes horses in his barn. Here's another one. So the beat just keeps on going for Chad.
Yeah, an embarrassment of riches. He seems like he's obviously loaded with fillies. Lady Eli comes to mind, 3-year-old fillies. But this horse, I know Lady Eli's talented. I worry about her getting 1.25 miles like for the Belmont Oaks. I have no doubt that Takeover Target will get 1.25 miles in the Belmont Derby.
All right, well, we got the Kentucky Derby in the books last weekend, so the second leg of the Triple Crown coming up next weekend. That's the Preakness down in Baltimore. And a new shooter of the race, Divining Rod, getting the Jacksons, Lael stable, Roy and Gretchen Jackson, back to the Preakness, of course, the first time since Barbaro, since they'll have a horse in the Preakness. And Divining Rod, you were here this day, actually, at Keeneland, for the Lexington. What did you think?
I was very impressed with him. He showed a little bit of a different dimension. He rated in behind horses. You knew he was loaded around the second turn, that Julian Lipper was just waiting for room to run. When he eased out in the clear, this horse really finished the deal, and I think the key to victory was getting him to relax, use his speed a little bit more judiciously. And I think he's got a real chance in the Preakness because he's the fresh face. You know, the top 3 finishes out of the Derby ran hard, and they were hard ridden. This horse is coming in off a big victory and with extra time in between. If anybody's going to be a spoiler that didn't run in the Derby, I think Divining Rod be the horse you have to look at.
And it seems like he's a horse that took a big step forward in the Lexington off his races down at Tampa over the winter. So he's a horse that he takes another step forward. He could be right there in the mix with these top 3-year-olds.
And he had the look of a horse that absolutely does have another forward move in him, the way he ran it at Keeneland there in the Lexington. The other thing, too, you got to think about these young horses at this time of year as like young athletes, young human athletes that are going to improve a lot, and they improve dramatically over this period of time. So I think you can look for him to get better as we go on. Now, whether he's good enough to handle the likes of American Pharoah, Fireline Dortmund, we'll see. But he does have that advantage of being fresh.
I'll see what you get from him in the Preakness. 8 days out from Preakness Saturday now, and we'll turn our attention to today's card here at Belmont Park. Some nice allowance races on the card. We'll get things started off with the 4th race today, and the 4th race was at 6 furlongs. A non-runs, a 2 other than allowance for fillies and mares. Larry Colmus up in the booth. He has the call of race number 4.
They're off. Making Havoc goes right out to take the early lead. Room for Me away running in second. Risque Reality is third. Then Discreetly Elusive. Savvy Sassy in a tight spot. Running in between horses. 4 lengths off the lead. Savvy Sassy having to steady there. And at the back of the field is Tarnished. Up front, Making Havoc opens up the lead by 1 3/4 lengths over Room for Me, the big favorite, who's second as they move for the turn. Discreetly Elusive third through a 22 2 opening quarter mile. Savvy Sassy's got a clear path now from 4th with 3.5 lengths to make up. Then Risque Reality to the inside and Tarnished at the back of the field. And now Room for Me has circled up on the outside of Making Havoc. And these two turn for home together. Room for Me, Making Havoc on the inside. Discreetly Elusive comes wide, a 45 and 2.5 mile. They're into the stretch. And Room for Me takes off. Room for Me pulls away to lead by 2.5 lengths over Making Havoc, and Discreetly Elusive as Tarnished moves up into 4th. It is Room for Me, and she's running away to the wire. Making Havoc was second, and then Discreetly Elusive, followed by Tarnished.
David Jacobson scours the globe for horses to bring to New York, and Room for Me certainly one of them. Claimed from 12,500 back in February at Santa Anita. Won the Videogenic here, part of the Claiming Championship Series, and now a non-1-2 allowance. I'd say a pretty nice claim by David Jacobson.
Yeah, and David has had a lot of success doing this, picking horses up out of California. This filly showed the Videogenic was no fluke. I mean, she delivered another big performance, and I'd have to think at some stage she's probably going to step up. The Videogenic was a restricted stake. I think she'll step up to actual stakes company, and I think she's earned the right. I think she beat a decent field here and did it the right way.
Unbelievable. What a transformation for David Jacobson coming here east. That race at Aqueduct about a month and a half ago, and now this race here, certainly a horse that's done very well in the couple of starts for David. And this was not an easy field at all. This was a good group of two other than fillies and mares.
Yeah, it really was. Savvy Sassy from the Christophe Clement barn, a filly that had basically been nothing but in front in every start. Broke slow, had a little bit of a compromised trip, and then she packed it in late. I think this is a filly, even though she was well beaten, that you have to give another chance to, because she had everything go wrong for her early in the race, and she took a lot of dirt, and I think she'll improve with a different trip.
All right, well, to keep an eye out for her, as she'll probably make her second start at the meet here coming up in the next few weeks for trainer Christophe Clement. We'll fast forward here to race number 5. Now this one, 1.25 miles on the inner turf course. Now one is a 1 allowance for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, and a heavy favorite here, the 5 Hinch Classics, going out for the Red Hot Shot Brown.
From the inside, Tis All Heart and La Hinch Classics up and on the pace too. Queen's Parade is away running in fourth along the rail. Rock Me Mama and Precarious taken to the back of the field, as the leaders will be Perfect Flute and Tis All Heart. Perfect Flute with the rail in the lead into the first turn. Tis All Heart now a length and a half behind. Queen's Parade third to the inside. La Hinch Classics will settle off the pacemakers and sit fourth on that clubhouse turn, and now is taken back to fifth position, being passed by Rock Me Mama. Precarious is last, 5 lengths off the lead, 24 and 1 was the opening quarter mile. Onto the backstretch, it is Perfect Flute in front, making the pace by a half a length over Tis All Heart in second. Behind them, Queen's Parade, La Hinch Classics in between horses, and Rock Me Mama to the outside. And Precarious biding time at the back of the field, 6 lengths from top to bottom, and a 49 and 2 half mile. Perfect Flute and Joel Rosario taken on by Tis All Heart, and now Tis All Heart's on even terms. Break of another 2.5 to Queen's Parade, running in third inside of La Hinch Classics. And then comes Rock Me Mama and Precarious at the back. Moving into the turn, Perfect Flute and Tis All Heart continue to race together. 3/4 and 1, 13 and 2. And now, Perfect Flute's lead is up to 3/4 of a length. Under a ride is Tis All Heart. And then it's Queen's Parade waiting for a spot on the inside. La Hinch Classics is being asked for more speed and is coming wide into the stretch as Precarious cuts the corner. And they're into the stretch. And here comes Queen's Parade. Queen's Parade running up alongside of Perfect Flute. La Hinch Classics is not going on today. Then Rock Me Mama to the outside, and Precarious. It is Queen's Parade. Queen's Parade and John Velasquez pulling away in the late strides to win over Perfect Flute. And then it was Rock Me Mama and Precarious.
Queen's Parade and La Hinch Classics right next to each other for most of the race until the top of the stretch, when La Hinch Classics came under a ride and went backwards. But speaking of rides, what a great ride here from Johnny Velasquez.
Yeah, this was all of Johnny Velasquez's Hall of Fame skills on display. Sitting that perfect pocket trip on the grass, saving every inch of ground, being involved enough when the pace is slow, not to give his horse too much to do. And, of course, it helps to have a very well-prepared horse from another Hall of Famer, Shug McGahee, underneath you.
No question about it. Always, you're going to get a run out of Shug's horses, especially on the grass as of late, as his grass runners have just been doing absolutely outstanding. And Johnny really made the difference here right out of the gate. He just took a little holds, dropped right back into the pocket, sat the pocket the whole way, and when it was time to run, she had the run, and Johnny V certainly looked very good on that one.
Yeah, well, when horses are running, you're going to look good. But also when a horse cooperates, when you put them in the pocket, they're not pulling, they're not rank, but they're there for you. So if you need them, they can accelerate. Just a picture-perfect ride, and a filly that actually looked really good. And like so many of Shug McGahee, horses seem to improve with age, and certainly always have that stamina, a lot of foundation put into them.
Yeah, 1.25 miles the distance for this one, a daughter of Giants Causeway, so you would expect her to do well at the distance. What was it like riding in these 1.25 miles, these marathon turf races real quick? I mean, it seemed like the jockey really really can make a difference in these races.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get the right trip, you can win on the second, third, even the fourth best horse at times. And the key to turf racing, like anywhere, is saving ground. I've heard people say at Belmont it's less important because the turns are wider and sweeping. But if you're wide on the turns at Belmont, even on the main track, you're just wider longer. So sometimes I think it gets overlooked. But saving ground on any turf course is just, to me, tantamount to victory.
All right, we'll check out some more turf action after this break here on Belmont Insider. One more race start to finish, and then we'll get to Saturday's preview coming up next. Stay tuned here on Belmont Insider.
Welcome back to the Belmont Insider with Eric Donovan, the Mig.
Summer does indeed start here at beautiful Belmont Park. Summer seems like it's underway, and, well, it won't be summer by the time the Belmont Stakes rolls around technically, but it's going to ring in summer with this great party that we have on tap. 3 days of terrific racing, of course, highlighted by Belmont Stakes Day.
Well, hopefully we have this kind of weather to grace us because the racing deserves this kind of weather. Just a great couple of days of racing, certainly Belmont Stakes Day. So many grade ones, and maybe, hopefully, we have a horse going for a Triple Crown. But even if we don't, if you're a racing fan, there's no place you want to be other than Belmont Park that day.
Yeah, I mean, when talking to fans that came out last year, I mean, obviously they were in for the, the Triple Crown run of California Chrome, but also they came out because they wanted to see the other matchups. They wanted to see the Met Mile. They wanted to see those Phillies and Mares battle it down in the Phipps as well. So, it's just pushes more people to come out here those big racing days with a lot on the line.
I like the big event days. I think it creates a lot of excitement. They cover every base, and then afterwards, we even got a little Goo Goo Dolls, which I'm happy about.
We got to do a show though, I think. In between the Goo Goo Dolls. Yeah, we'll do it down in the studio.
Right.
You'll probably hear them a little bit down there, though. Anyway, let's get back to the action here on this Friday afternoon. 8th race, a mile and 8th on the inner turf course. Phillies and Mares going long once again. Larry Comas.
They're off. Dido came out very well. Goldie S. Pony's up and on the pace today, and Rubindi is there on the far outside, and it's going to be these two. They're going to take him into the turn. 1-2. Goldie S. Pony with some early foot today leads the way by 2 lengths. Then comes Rubindi running in second. Dido is third, followed by Modern Stone. Holiday's Jewel very wide going into that turn and continues to bear out as they go to the backstretch. And Junior Alvarado having some trouble with Holiday's Jewel here, trying to really bear out on him. Now at the back of the field is Unbelievable Dream. The first quarter was very slow here, 25 and 2/5 seconds, and it is Goldie S. Pony and Javier Castellano in front, and Holiday's Jewel's just going to go on with it on the outside. Junior Alvarado continues to struggle with Holiday's Jewel, and he's just going to let her roll, and Holiday's Jewel, a big long shot well off the rail, is going to end up in with a 3-length lead at this point of the race after a 50-flat half mile. So it's Holiday's Jewel just running away here under Junior Alvarado, 3 lengths in front of Goldie S. Pony. Rubindi is third by another 2.5. And then it's Dido, Modern Stone, and the trailer is Unbelievable Dream. Around the far turn, Holiday's Jewel, a 28-1 long shot, leads the way by 3, but has been wide throughout here, and is about to be joined on the inside by Goldie S. Pony, who's about to be back in front as they come to the top of the stretch. Goldie S. Pony has recaptured the lead. Modern Stone on the outside and Rubindi, and then comes Dido to the inside. Unbelievable Dream and Holiday's Jewel is back to last. Furlong to go, and Javier Castellano lets Goldie S. Pony roll, and they've got a 2-length lead here as they come down to the line. Dido finishing fast but out of time. Goldie S. Pony over Dido at the wire. Then Rubindi in a photo with Unbelievable Dream.
Chad Brown had a couple of horses in this race here, so you figured he had a good chance to win, and he had 2 of the favorites on the outside, including the even money favorite who got the job done here, Goldie Esponi.
Goldie Esponi, kind of a funny name, but what would a day be like at Belmont Park, particularly in a grass race, if Chad Brown didn't get the money? A white-hot stable, all his horses running terrific. And, I think that kind of success builds on itself. He's going to continue to get good horses to train.
Yeah, she might have been a little bit of a disappointment, I think, coming over here last year after a couple stakes wins in France, middle of her 3-year-old season. Came in here in the Belmont Oaks, didn't really take a whole lot of money, 11-1, didn't run all that well in the Valley View, but certainly looks like perhaps she's a better 4-year-old.
Well, I think probably had a little more time to acclimate, and let's be fair, this was a little bit of class relief,
Well,
too.
Easier spot for sure. Well, we got 6 races to bring you the stretch runs of, so we'll send it upstairs to Larry Comas for races 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 9.
Bessie's Boy and Jacopo were 1-2 through a 45 and 4 half mile. They're into the stretch and under a hand ride. Bessie's Boy gets away. Bessie's Boy pulling away at will here at the 8th pole. A 4-length lead. As Dynamo Flotilla moves up into second, Fit to Keep takes third, Jacopo gives way, and then Psychology at the rail. Into the final 16th, and it's Bessie's Boy and Dynamo Flotilla making a late bid, but Bessie's Boy prevails. Dynamo Flotilla was second, Fit to Keep was third, and then percent in fourth. A 46 3/2 mile. They're into the stretch. Bear Claws and Fear on the outside to the front. Bear Claws gives way at the rail, and then it's Ghost Ship on the outside. Behind them, 30%, trying to find some running room right in behind the leaders. And on the far outside, Suspicious Mind is fifth. It is Fear in front. To the outside, it's Ghost Ship, 30%. Bear Claws down toward the rail. Here's the wire. It is going to be very close here. 30% got through late inside of Ghost Ship. These turn it up. Ran 47 2 for a half, and they turned for home together, but here comes Desert Bliss on the outside. And Desert Bliss runs up and runs by the leaders. Desert Bliss and Kendrick Carmouche last up the backstretch, opening up in the final 16th, leaving Started Up and the others behind. It's going to be Desert Bliss to win it by 2.5. Startup was second. Belafonte was third. Kiss Cat fourth. After 3 quarters in 1:11 4, they're into the stretch, and it's Identity Crisis under a hand ride here, comfortably in front by 2.5 lengths over Ireland's Eye as Majestic Guide takes third on the outside, and then comes Ride of Your Life. It's a runaway here for Identity Crisis, and Rajiv Mirage never asked to run, and Identity Crisis absolutely crushes the competition today. The race is for second, and it's Ireland's Eye over Majestic Guy with Cool Cat Prairie Stone, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. And here comes Piccolo Flats, and Piccolo Flats has forged to the front into the final furlong, and is pulling away to lead by 3 lengths. In Spite of Mama next. On the far outside, Prairie Stone, and then comes Canal 6 and Official, and it's Piccolo Flats, giving Cornelio Velasquez his 3rd win of the day. Photo for place, maybe Prairie Stone. In Spite of Mama was there too. Then on the outside, Andrews got Zip. Royal Asset guided outside of them, and here comes Man of Fire on the far outside. Man of Fire, Royal Asset, tight quarters, steadied there. Oh, he's had a rough go today. It is Man of Fire in front. Fall Fire to the inside. Royal Asset third, Anton B fourth on the far outside. Coming to the line, it's Man of Fire, with Fall Fire second, and then it was Royal Asset, followed by a photo between Anton B and
Pretty
American
entertaining nightcap there in race number 9. Now, we had a late scratch. The morning line favorite, who was going to be the favorite for the race, bold bid for Peter Miller, who's based in California, came over to the paddock with the wrong shoes on, had toes behind, I think, necessitating the late scratch. So all that money in the multi-race pools goes on to the favorite, who turned out to be the 5 Royal Asset, who crossing the line the first time was third. The line originally was third.
Was third, but when we take a look at it, we'll see what happened and how he got stymied in traffic as our second look coming up. I love that shot of Capicella.
Yeah, that's great. Always great to have Cappy's binocs focused on things. He would have been taking a look at this DQ here in race number 9. On the outside, we have the 9-horse Man of Fire. Beneath jockey Angel Cruz, the jockey with the whip raised in his left hand, is down toward the inside. Rajiv Mirage on Fall Fire. These two will kind of sandwich the number 5 Royal Asset here.
And I actually really think, and you can see where Royal Asset, his rally gets stymied, and he was just building into some momentum, and I actually think the stewards did a really good job and got this call right. Of course, to me at first glance it looked like the 9 Man of Fire did a little bit more of the damage, but as you watch the replay and you can see along the inside Fall Fire stepping out, and they both contributed to the crowding, and it's rare to see a double DQ, but I think they got it right. Rajiv Mirage reacts a little bit faster than Angel Cruz here, and he goes, you can see he's already correcting his horse, where by the time Angel Cruz corrects, the damage is done. I think it was the right call, and definitely maybe a shame. Maybe the best horse won anyway, but the fact of the matter is a foul was committed, and you can't judge at that stage how much it affected the eventual third-place finisher, who I'm sure for people that had Bold Bid were happy that he got elevated.
Sure, a very lucky sequence of events there to get that victory in the last race. If you were on Bold Bid and then moved on to Royal Asset. What about Angel Cruz, though? A guy who obviously has a lot of talent, still kind of making some mistakes. This is normal stuff apprentices feel out and they kind of improve on?
Yeah, I think he needed to react a little quicker, and certainly it's something that he will improve on. And he's shown that steadily. He improves off of his mistakes. The thing I've seen a little bit from him lately, which I don't like, is he'll go right-handed even when a horse is acting like they want to take that step in and then have to correct them when you have to anticipate that move before it happens.
Okay, well, Angel Cruz still doing well in the jockey standings. A couple wins behind the leaders. We'll take a look at the leaders now. And Cornelio Velasquez with 3 wins today, tied back on the top here with Iran Ortiz, who also has 10.
Yeah, Cornelio, consistent performer, shows up every day and goes to work. And, of course, Irad, Angel Cruz riding well in spite of the slight criticism there. And Manny Franco, a guy that I like. And Joe Rosario's kind of really starting to get some traction here.
All right, a lot of ways to go here yet before we hit the finish line of the Belmont Spring Meet here. Trainer standings we'll take a look at now. Chad Brown, a nice 5-win lead over David Jacobson. Figures to be Chad in front for a good way. I think Todd Pletcher will get involved with a few more winners here and there, though.
Yeah, just a really good group of trainers there, and Chad is everything he puts on the track right now. Looks live, and they look good in the paddock.
Just one claim today. That claim came in race number 6. Identity Crisis goes to Carlos Martin for $16,000. We'll take one more time out here on Belmont Insider. A lot to discuss with a strong Saturday card coming up next. Stay tuned. Well, just a few days away, Mother's Day 2015. We're going to want to bring Mom out to Belmont Park. A lot of fun activities going on here at the track, including this Jackson family wine tasting, a brunch, win a Longchamp bag, and family fun activities as well. Just a great place to bring the whole family.
Well, I mean, I actually might have to mosey on down to that wine tasting at some point, but a couple hours to the show, so I should be okay.
Okay, well, we'll have someone follow you. Make sure you don't get into too much trouble there. You can do the show. I'm sure you'll be in good enough shape. Welcome back to Belmont Insider. Richie Migliore alongside Eric Donovan. Good to be here. As Nick Santagata mentioned before, didn't hear it, but thanks for the lovely intro coming into segment number 2 there, Nick. Always one of my favorites, Nick Santagata. Loved watching him ride when he rode, and fun to have him here at the track.
Yeah, I'm sure he's tuning in too, because the Rangers will be on before too long, so I'm sure he watched us before the Rangers.
Well, he'll be in action tomorrow, heading out to the paddock, saddling a lot of horses, and we'll start off by taking a look at the Peter Pan Stakes. We'll take a look here at 2 weeks off, a horse that's coming into a form here and very nicely for trainer Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks off is a horse that hasn't really done anything wrong. Was second his first start, came back with 2 victories, never been over the 7 furlong distance, but obviously immensely talented. He's got a good pedigree, got the right connections, a lot of things to like.
Seems to be the main speed here. He'll stretch out from 7 to 9 furlongs. What about Wolfman Rocket for trainer Bob Baffert? Shipped to Oaklawn Park off a pair of second-place finishes in Maiden Special Weights, gets a stakes win as a maiden in the Northern Spur.
Those sprint maiden races out in California are tough. You see, they run fast, they run hard. He stretched out successfully in a stake to break his maiden, so they liked him going into it. He might not be Dortmund or American Pharaoh, but he's certainly a nice colt.
What about Made from Lucky, Richie? A horse that won an allowance that we're showing now at Gulfstream Park back in February, ran into American Pharaoh in the Rebel and the Arkansas Derby. He gets some class relief here. Is he the goods, you think?
It's a great question. What I find interesting is the kind of makeover here. They take the blinkers off. Johnny Velasquez sticks with 2 weeks off. Javier Castellano, who's been wildly successful for Todd Pletcher, picks him up. But I'm going to lean with Johnny. If Johnny liked 2 weeks off enough to get off a horse that he rode in the Arkansas Derby that beat 9 lengths to American Pharaoh, I think he might know something.
I think he's the key to the race here with 2 weeks off. Definitely going to be the pace setter, and if he can get the 9 furlongs, he's going to be tough to catch. You caught up with Johnny Velasquez right around his winning ride in race 5, and here's what he had to say.
Johnny, 2 weeks off, seems like a very talented horse. 3 starts, you're the only jockey to ever ride him, 2 wins in a second. What have you seen from him from 2 to 3? How has he developed?
He definitely came back this year very impressive, though. We really liked him as a trio. When he came back this year, he actually ran a really impressive race in Keeneland, and I hope that he can put that back in here in Belmont.
Well, he's the only question mark I have is the distance. He's only gone up to 7/8. Do you think the 1.8 miles of the Peter Pan will be a problem?
That would be the question that we will all have, but I don't think the distance, should be too much of a problem. But just because he's jumping from 7/8 to 1.8 miles, that probably be the question. But I don't think the distance eventually won't be the killer, though. Maybe because he's jumping from 7/8 now to 1.8 miles, it will be a little bit of questioning.
You've ridden a lot of nice colts for Todd Pletcher, and obviously you Carpe Diem this year, Materiality. Is there any way you could rate 2 weeks off with them?
I'll tell you what, he's very, very impressive, and I think if he can improve that little bit more than he's been doing, like we do think anyway, that he can do that. I think he could be one kind of like the Carpe Diem and Materiality. Yeah, definitely.
Best of luck in the Peter Pan.
Thank you.
Rich, very curious to see what you get out of 2 weeks off, not only tomorrow, but for the second half of the year. He seems like a 3-year-old that, if he continues to progress, could really do some damage in big stakes races.
I agree, and he's shown a great deal of ability. He shows speed, but he has a pedigree that says he'll go longer, so that bodes well, I think, as he stretches out. And he doesn't look like a rank horse to me. He looks like a horse that just does things easily. I know Johnny likes him, so it'll be interesting to see if he takes this next step.
Big test for him, the Peter Pan tomorrow, race number 3. You got a couple other stakes on the card as well. The Ruffian is race number 4. The Bogey a little bit later on in the card. Both very solid stakes races, but we'll turn our attention now to the Man of War and take a look at the 2014 Man of War, Imagining, looking to make it a repeat here.
Yeah, repeat for him and a four-peat for his trainer. 4 years in a row for Shug McGahee if he was able to pull this off. When I spoke with Shug yesterday, he said he likes him just a little bit off the pace. He looks like he's going to catch pace in here, horses to follow. And his Pan American, I thought, was a powerful performance. Shug McGahee seems to do well with horses as they age. I mean, he's 7 now, so he's continuing to age.
We'll take a look at Hardest Score now, winning the Arlington Million last year. A horse that certainly got on a dream run. He makes his first start of 2015. What can you expect from him as he makes his debut?
Well, looking back on it, last year he came off the layoff and he started that streak of victories, and I thought he was impressive off the layoff last year. He's obviously very talented. He's only beaten 4 3/4 lengths in the Breeders' Cup, and he's an Arlington Million winner, so I think he's going to be pretty tough off the bench.
And we apologize for the entries for race number 8 on the screen there. If we're talking about the 9th race, the Man of War. And we'll take a look now at Dynamic Sky. Doesn't figure to be one of the favorites in here, but does have a mile and 3/8 turf victory. The distance of the Man of War under his belt. This was Aqueduct in the fall of Red Smith.
Yeah, and he was very impressive here. He caught some ground I thought was more on the soft to yielding side. He got a great ride from Cornelio that day, who rides him back tomorrow, getting through traffic. This is a little different company. I think this is a little bit tougher field, and he's going to have some things go his way to make an impact.
Mark Cassidy having some horses here at the Belmont Park this spring, summer. What's your impressions on him as a horseman? He looks like he finds the right spots for his horses.
He's a tremendous horseman, and he's a tremendous scout. He scouts young talent. He works all the 2-year-old sales, and he picks out horses, and just a terrific person as well.
Well, speaking of scouting talent, we have Andy Serling and Maggie Wolfendale, our insiders, scouting some talent in his office, I guess, and down in the paddock as far as Maggie's concerned. Let's throw it to Andy.
Well, we've got a stakes-laden card here on Saturday, and an excellent card, and some very, very competitive races. And if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose at a price. And while I've got some shorter-priced horses, very clever that I like early in the card, I like a bit of a long shot in the Man of War, the 9th race on the card. I think that War Dancer's a very, very interesting race, switching to trainer Bill Mott. At times in this horse's career, War Dancer, including the wins at 3-year-old in the Virginia Derby, has shown the ability to run very well going a distance of ground, and not quite as good as some of the best horses in here, but not that far behind them. Now switches the Mott barn, got a prep in the dirt, and this is not a dirt horse, even though he ran okay once in our Travers. He's a turf horse, and this is the first time on the turf for trainer Bill Mott, and I'm hoping they can move him forward just a little bit. And number 3 War Dancer can upset the Man of War on Saturday's card.
Thanks, Andy. Well, I hope everyone is enjoying this absolutely wonderful weather, and hopefully it'll carry on to tomorrow as we have a great lineup of races, 4 graded stakes on the card. I'll be looking forward to them, but I'm going to get things underway right away with race number 1. It's a maiden special weight for the New York-bred Phillies, going 7 furlongs, and one coming off a layoff and a trainer change is number 3 in here, Shoot the Moon. And there's a lot of intangibles with this filly, because if you look at her running line, you can't really like her, but it was a muddy sealed track. She's going first time out for Michelle Nevin, and 2, she had a bit of a wide kind of trip for her first start, but I'm just going off of what I saw from her in the paddock. They did pay up for this filly as a yearling, $200,000, and she's just very nicely put together. I just really liked what I saw from her. Granted, her work tap doesn't show much, but I think she should show more on the track tomorrow. So Shoot the Moon, your paddock insider for today. And I think the guy's name's Eric Donovan? Yeah, back to him and the Meg.
Yeah, that's right. It's me, and I'm done. This show is a lot of fun, Richie, and big stakes weekend coming up here at Belmont. Not only Saturday with the 4 stakes we talked about, but also Palace versus Palace Malice on Sunday.
Yeah, on Mother's Day, a little tribute there, and just a great weather, and I hope it continues. Great working with you.
Same here. We're out of time. Come out to Belmont this weekend. See you later.